How desperate is Donald Trump to get MAGA off his back over Jeffrey Epstein? Well, desperate enough to at least try to take it seriously. So on Friday, you probably know, he ordered the DOJ to ask for a judge to release some of the Epstein grand jury statements or whatever. And look, the judge may not do it. Even if they do, we know that it's likely to be heavily redacted. And Trump has specifically, the DOJ, which is independent of Trump, has asked for any identifying information about people in it to be blanked out. So even if Trump is in it, referenced in these interviews, you won't know about it. And even if it's not, the interviews represent less than 1% of the total data that's been gathered in this investigation. But even despite all of those caveats, he's still spitting in the face of his supporters as he announces it, saying that he's asked the Justice Department to release all grand jury testimony. With that being said, and even if the court gave its full and unwavering approval, nothing will be good enough for the troublemakers and radical left lunatics making the request. It will always be more, MAGA. Yeah, but see, no, but it's MAGA that's asking for more. Not even more. Don't pretend that they're being greedy. They're asking for basically anything. You gave them almost the definitional bare minimum, and then you complain that people want more than basically nothing. That seems kind of ridiculous. Now, we'll see what actually comes out. I'm not holding my breath on what will be in there, the little bit we'll be able to see. But in the meantime, he has a potential further trick up his sleeve. It's something we've been expecting for a long time. You might have been expecting it to come. And he seemed hesitant up until this point to fire this particular shot. But he apparently is getting sick of defending Pam Bondi. He is frustrated at having to take the heat for her handling of the Epstein files, which I think is one of the funniest ways to frame that story. So Donald Trump tells Pam Bondi, don't you dare release any information. And then people get mad at Pam Bondi because she's the one that had to announce it, and she's ostensibly the head of the DOJ, even though she's just operating as Donald Trump's personal lawyer, as she always has. And now he's getting mad that he's getting blowback for her doing the thing that she's only doing because he told her to do it. I feel like I don't want to stick up for Pam Bondi, but I feel like Donald Trump is the bad guy in this story. And look, to be clear, it's not like she's going under the bus today. It doesn't seem like that we're gonna have to wait and see if more frustration grows. But how can he be annoyed, JR, at her when she's just like following his orders? That seems weird.
Yeah, this is pretty standard, isn't it? I mean, he's so far from the idea of like actual accountability or responsibility or owning up to your actions that every time he screws something else up or gets exposed for something that he did, he expects people to continue to cover for him, to do everything he needs for them to do to cover his ass while he does more things to expose that said ass. And then after that all happens, he gets mad that he has to keep taking the heat for the things that he did that someone else is supposed to somehow cover up, when it's impossible to cover up because you're so sloppy and outward with all of the disgusting things that he's done and being exposed for. He does it all the time. And then he starts firing people and say, how dare this guy show up and not defend me? Because you're indefensible, you're a criminal. And in this case, you were best buddies with Jeffrey Epstein and you haven't explained why you're not releasing all the information yet. That's why everybody ends up on the back end of his issues because he can't take them on himself.
Exactly, yeah. Look, she's loyal and well, graphic 5, loyal and well liked. I don't doubt that. She does seem loyal. That seems like her one actual quality is that she's loyal to Donald Trump. It's the only thing that matters in the Trump administration. Whether you like Trump or not, you know that. Pete Hegseth hasn't been fired despite his clownish failures because he's loyal. Because he'll do whatever Donald Trump says. If Donald Trump tells him to start punching yourself in the crotch, and you can stop if and when I get around to it, he'll punch himself bloody. That's just who these people are. They are happy, willful tools in this fascist regime. That said, he might need another release valve. And so I don't put it past him to sacrifice someone. He is reassuring us on social media that it's not at that point. In fact, the supposed MAGA civil war over the Epstein cover-up that Trump is perpetuating isn't hurting his numbers at all. The way he put it is, my poll numbers within the Republican Party and MAGA have gone up significantly since the Jeffrey Epstein hoax was exposed by the radical left Democrats and troublemakers. Wait, but It was exposed by the radical. You're the one who exposed it, supposedly. You're saying they're the ones doing it and you told everyone. Why are you giving them credit? Anyway, they have hit 90, 92, 93, and 95% in various polls and are all Republican Party records. What I love about this, and it makes me think, we're gonna go back to that graphic in just a sec. What it makes me think of is somebody tweeted over the weekend, like the first reporter to say to Trump, well, obviously you were never on Jeffrey Epstein's island. He only invited really powerful and rich people. You'll get the confession in real time, is totally true, because Donald Trump needs to pretend that somehow, no, it's not that MAGA's mad at me. No, they love me more. So my numbers have gone up significantly all the way to 90, 92%. So presumably they were significantly lower before this thing happened. So what were they at? Were they at 80? Were they at 75%? Well, he'd never say that. In fact, he has routinely said that he's at like 98% in the Republican Party. So which is it? Like, again, it's an attempt to control the narrative. And at this point, JR, we're coming out of a fresh weekend. Yes, there's more reporting about Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein, all their ridiculous stuff that makes it clear that they were up to no good together. But I am waiting to see, has MAGA fallen in line? They briefly tasted the exquisite sweetness of critical thought and thinking for yourself. And then Daddy came in and told them, don't you think for yourself? And a lot of them seemed pretty interested in stopping, because thinking for yourself is tiring, it burns a lot of calories utilizing your brain. And so I don't know, do you think, we're gonna move on to some more of the reporting, but do you think that's it?
Well, this is the thing. The way to continue to keep this up, or at least to keep them happy with doing absolutely nothing about the things they were demanding for, is to, as they've tried, moving on to so many other things. But the basis for that is to pit them against the folks that they're supposed to hate. So that's why he keeps bringing up how the Democrats did this. That sentence that didn't make any sense about how they brought up the Jeffrey Epstein hoax and it was exposed by Democrats. The whole purpose of that was to say Democrats and hoax, just to get those two words in their brain to go, oh, wait a second. I was veering towards reality for a moment there until you said Democrats and hoax. Now I'm back on stupid. So that's the whole purpose. He knows how the manipulation works for his followers, that they need to have a foe. And that same standard foe is the Democratic Party, who must have, for no reason and making absolutely no sense in his accusations, did all of this, brought the whole thing up, have been begging for this for years. But all they do is flip reality on its head and give him that opponent, and they're all back on board. So, I never had much of I guess I never had much confidence in folks really fully going the other way. That's why I don't believe in like trying to convince people who want no convincing. They're gonna be convinced for what they want to be convinced of. And since they've attached their realities and their entire identities to this party and this guy, they can't let it go, or else they lose themselves. They have nowhere else to be.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, look, maybe in the end, all we have is the ability to console ourselves by trolling them until the end of time, by just asking them like, hey, did we ever find out what was up with Jeffrey Epstein? No, why was that? Why didn't we find out about Jeffrey Epstein? That's weird. And they know, they may shut up, but they know deep down inside, Donald Trump is the leader of the cover-up machine they have been speculating about for literally years. And for some reason, they still love him. They've had to, love him hard enough to forget that the kids were never saved, I guess. Yeah.